4th, 1971, a man walks into an airport carrying nothing but a black briefcase. He buys a one-way ticket under the name Dan Cooper. Less than 5 hours later, he has hijacked an airplane, collected $200,000 in cash, jumped into a violent storm from 10,000 feet, and disappeared. No body, no confirmed identity, no arrest, no explanation. More than 50 years later, the greatest unsolved skyjacking in American history remains a mystery. Who was D.B. Cooper, and how did one man simply vanish into thin air? This isn't just another crime story. It's a mystery that has obsessed FBI agents, investigators, journalists, and conspiracy theorists for decades. Every clue creates more questions. Every suspect seems believable, until they don't. Tonight, we're reopening one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. It was Thanksgiving Eve. Portland International Airport. A middle-aged man approached the Northwest Orient Airlines counter. He wore a dark business suit, a white shirt, a thin black tie, polished shoes. Nothing unusual. Witnesses described him as calm, well-spoken, around 45 years old. He paid $20 in cash for Flight 305 to Seattle. Just another passenger, or so everyone believed. It was the day before Thanksgiving. The airport was quieter than usual. Most people were already home, already with family, already thinking about tomorrow's dinner, not tonight's flight. Nobody noticed him. That was the point. He didn't rush. He didn't sweat. He didn't check his watch. He simply waited, like a man with nowhere else to be. Flight 305 was a short hop. Portland to Seattle. 30 minutes in the air. No one on that plane, not the pilots, not the crew, not the passengers, had any idea they were about to become part of American history. After boarding the Boeing 727, he quietly ordered a bourbon and soda. Then he lit a cigarette, something completely normal in 1971. Minutes after takeoff, he handed a folded note to a flight attendant. She assumed it was a phone number. Without reading it, she slipped it into her purse. Then the man leaned closer. "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." Inside the briefcase, she saw 8 red cylinders attached to wires and a battery. Whether it was real, no one knows. But nobody wanted to test it. The note contained his demands: $200,000, 4 parachutes, a fuel truck waiting in Seattle, no tricks, no funny business, or people would die. Remarkably, he stayed calm. He wasn't angry, he wasn't shouting, he didn't threaten passengers, he even paid for his drink. When the plane landed in Seattle, authorities did exactly what he asked. The passengers were released. The ransom money was delivered. 4 parachutes arrived. Now, only the crew remained on board. Cooper wasn't finished. He ordered the pilots to fly toward Mexico. At only 10,000 feet, with the landing gear partially lowered, flaps extended, and the cabin left unpressurized. It was an unusual request. But the Boeing 727 had something unique, a rear staircase that could be lowered during flight. As darkness covered the Pacific Northwest, heavy rain, powerful winds, freezing temperatures. Somewhere above the forests of Washington state, a warning light appeared inside the cockpit. The rear stairs had been lowered. A few minutes later, the aircraft suddenly lifted, as if a heavy weight had disappeared. D.B. Cooper had jumped into complete darkness, carrying $200,000. Think about what he attempted. 10,000 feet. At night. In a storm. Wind chill well below freezing. wearing nothing but a business suit and a parachute he'd never tested. Experts later called it almost suicidal. The jump itself could kill a trained skydiver. The landing, somewhere in dense mountainous forest in pitch darkness, was even less survivable. No landing zone, no lights, no way to see the ground before hitting it. And yet, no body was ever found. No wreckage of a parachute. No sign that the forest had claimed him. If he died that night, the Pacific Northwest kept the secret perfectly. Within minutes, military aircraft, police, FBI agents, search teams, all rushed into the forests. Nothing, no parachute, no body, no money, no footprints, nothing. It was as though Cooper had vanished into thin air. Had he survived? Or had nature erased every trace of him forever? Years passed. Then, in 1980, an 8-year-old boy digging near the Columbia River discovered something unbelievable. Bundles of decaying $20 bill, almost $6,000. Serial numbers confirmed they belonged to Cooper's ransom money. But that discovery only deepened the mystery. How did the money get there? The FBI ran every test they had. The bills were degraded, but the serial numbers matched exactly. This wasn't a hoax. This wasn't a copycat. This was Cooper's money. Some investigators believed floodwaters carried it downstream from where he landed. Others believed someone buried it deliberately, and only nature uncovered it years later. A third theory was darker still, that Cooper never left that riverbank alive, and the money simply drifted from his body over time. Every theory raised a new question, and every question led nowhere. Over the decades, hundreds of suspects emerged: a military paratrooper, a former CIA operative, a Vietnam veteran, a criminal mastermind, even ordinary businessmen. Every theory seemed convincing, until investigators found contradictions. Kenneth Christensen was a former airline employee, quiet, unassuming, skilled in parachuting. On his deathbed, he reportedly told his brother something strange. "There's something you should know, but I can't tell you." He died before he ever explained what he meant. Robert Rackstraw was a former Army pilot with a criminal record and a history of deception. Journalists built entire cases around him. The FBI investigated him twice. Both times, the evidence fell apart. Each man fit the profile. Each man had a reason to be suspected, and neither was ever confirmed. DNA evidence proved inconclusive. Fingerprints led nowhere. No confession ever stood up. In 2016, after 45 years, the FBI officially suspended its investigation. Not because the mystery was solved, but because they had run out of leads. Cooper didn't just commit a crime. He created a blueprint. Within a year, over a dozen hijackers tried to copy his plan. Most were caught. Some didn't survive the jump. Boeing was forced to act, engineering a device that locked the rear staircase mid-flight. It became known as the Cooper vein. To this day, it still carries his name. Some believe Cooper died the night he jumped. Others believe he escaped, started a new life, spent the money, and took his secret to the grave. Maybe, somewhere, someone knows the truth. Or maybe the greatest hijacker in history succeeded, not because he stole $200,000, but because he stole something even more valuable: his identity. More than 50 years later, we still don't know who D.B. Cooper really was, and perhaps we never will. What do you think? Did D.B. Cooper survive or die that stormy night? Share your theory in the comments, and if you enjoy true mysteries, dark history, and unsolved cases, subscribe, because this is only the beginning. Some mysteries fade with time. Others become legends.